Today's video is about a pretty bad swing trade that I took on AMD last week. Full transparency, I am just getting back into swing trading. I took this trade, I think it was probably middle of last week, and definitely made some mistakes, but I'm excited to kind of share what happened with you guys on this video. Feel free to leave me any comments, any sort of constructive criticism as to maybe things I could have done better, things that you maybe liked about the trade. But yeah, just going to kind of talk about why I took the trade, sort of my thought process behind it, and then after some retroactive analysis, it was pretty clear that I could have done some things better. So I'm going to get into that toward the end of the video. But yeah, so like I said earlier, feel free to leave me any sort of comment if you guys got value out of this video. Hit that like button. But yeah, just gonna go ahead and jump right into the charts. All right, so diving straight into the chart. As you can probably see here, the first thing that I pretty clearly noticed was that, at least on the 4-hour chart, AMD looked like it was kind of staying within this channel. So I went ahead and identified the 88.55 level as the sort of bottom end of the channel, the support, and then the $97.27 as the top end of the channel. And we can kind of see over here, late December, it kind of broke through this bottom area right here, and then it started sort of going through this channel and respecting the support and resistance levels that we've identified here. So the next thing that I sort of identified when I was looking at this as a potential setup was, so I actually took this trade on the 28th of January. So if we look at the dates here, we can kind of see the 28th of January, that's right here. So around this time, the price action was actually moving toward the bottom end of this channel. So my thought with this trade was that it was going to basically respect this support level right here, and then it was going to bounce higher, and I was going to get, let's see here, it probably would have been, I think I have my stop loss at around 75% of the way up the channel. So if we take a look here, that would have been, a gain of around roughly 9%. And based on past price action, I was looking to be in this trade for, let's see, it probably would have been about a 6 or 7 day trade based on the movements that happened in the past. So that's kind of my thought process with taking the trade. I thought I was going to respect this support level right here, bounce higher. I had my take profit around 75% of the way up the channel, and I was expecting the trade to last about 5 or 6 days based on the previous price action. And I guess the final thing that I want to note here is my stop loss. So I went ahead and made my stop loss about, let's see here, I believe I had it at 85.75. I kind of identified this area as another area of support down here, and I figured it was a good enough level to allow the trade to run if need be, but I felt like my risk-reward ratio in the end was pretty solid. I think it was about risking $9 to win. I believe it was $27 total. I think my total position size was around $380 for this trade. So that was kind of my thought process of why I took the trade. And as you guys have probably realized throughout the course of this video, there's a lot of things that I could have done differently. So we can kind of start getting into those. So the first thing that I kind of wish I had done a bit differently with this trade was taking a look at the 50-day moving average right here. Looking at the 50-day moving average, it was pretty clear that because price action had dropped below the 50-day moving average, that was not a super great sign that the sort of move to the upside would continue. So that was kind of the first thing of, if I were to go back and if I were to look at factors that would have increased my probability of success, having price action move above the 50-day moving average would have probably helped. So that's number one. The second thing that I wish I had done a bit differently was, I feel like my entry point for this trade was in no way, shape, or form defined. And I guess what I mean by that is, I feel like I took this trade pretty impatiently. So as I mentioned a bit earlier in the video, I think I took the trade around $88 on the 28th, maybe slightly below $88. And at this point in time, there's zero confirmation that, this trade is going to bounce off of this support line and move higher. So I would say probably one of the biggest things that I would have changed was, instead of taking the trade on the 28th around this $88 level, maybe $87.75, I would have waited for a candlestick close above the support line right here as confirmation. And once that trade was confirmed, once I had the confirmation candlestick, I think I would have felt a lot better about kind of going into this trade from a probability standpoint. And as you can see, if I had actually waited for that confirmation here, I would not have gotten into this trade and it wouldn't have been a loser. But at the end of the day, it was a pretty good lesson to learn, kind of waiting for that confirmation as another thing that you can kind of add to increase the odds of success for the trade. So the last thing, now that we've kind of talked about the confirmation, that I would have liked to have seen here was, so I'm tracking two moving averages here. I have the kind of 50-day moving average in purple, and then I have a smaller time frame moving average in this kind of, I guess that's a teal color here. So kind of going back to the methodology of confirmations, not only could I have waited for a confirmation above the support line right here to get into the trade, but I think if I wanted to increase my odds of success even more, what I could have done was I could have waited not only for a confirmation above the support right here, but I could have waited for a confirmation above this short-term moving average. And those two things combined, at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is make the probability of success as high as possible. And the more things we can get in our favor, the better. So the confirmation above the support line right here would have been number one. And number two, we could have even waited for a confirmation above the short-term moving average right here. And I think that would have helped increase our probability of success. But of course, there's downside with that. Obviously, if we're waiting for a confirmation above the short-term moving average, and our take profit is about 75% of the way up the channel, that means that our overall profit on this trade is going to be less. If we're just kind of taking a look at the measurement here, let's pretend like we waited for it to confirm over the short-term moving average, and we were closing at around 75% of the way up the channel. That drops our profit to only about slightly over 5%. Versus if we had just waited for an arbitrary kind of candlestick close above the support line right here, let's just pretend it's at the, 89.50 level or around there, that would have probably gained us at least a couple more percentage points on this trade. So I guess at the end of the day, it's a trade-off. If you want to, I think probably long-term, it may be smarter to wait for the confirmation above the short-term moving average and then find a setup that has a overall higher percentage gain potential, so to speak, rather than decreasing your chances and just waiting for it to close above this support right here. So going back, again, just to kind of reiterate, I would have at the very least waited for some sort of confirmation above the support level. I think it would have increased my odds. And at the end of the day, at the very worst, I would not have gotten into this trade at all if I had waited for confirmation. So that is pretty much it for my sort of analysis of this trade here. Like I said at the beginning, please leave comments on this. I'm sure that there was a number of other things that I could have done significantly better on this trade. I didn't even really touch at all on indicators, but again, thanks for watching. Hit that like button, and if you guys want more analysis videos like this, go ahead and subscribe to the channel.